Good morning, traders. Good morning, everyone. All right, it's Tuesday, 2 days before Thanksgiving, right? All right, how's everyone doing today? Let's we're gonna have some fun, I think. You can see my screen and hear me okay, Mr. Kyle?
Looking good and hear you loud and clear.
Right. All right. Yeah, so we have some pretty interesting charts to look at today. Well, let's start with the ES. We had quite the move pre-morning during this Europe session, right? The market didn't really let up until you could see here's Europe, I mean Asia, right? If I bring this over, the first hour of Europe kind of like traded inside the point of control of Asia, and then we sold off, and here we are. Um, Interesting enough, this is kind of an area that I think the US session will try to fill in. The We did fill it in during Europe, so um, nice steady trend down. We'll take a look at that. Now, in the big picture, everyone knows this. It's not like we've talked about, um, how this ES has performed has been pretty much historic in a lot of ways because we have, if you keep on looking, I can bring this all the way up. We have four gaps all the way from the swing low, right, that we made 1027, which was 41 22 25. And so we rallied about, what's it, about 450 almost points from that, the 27. So that's a pretty sharp rally. We did a series of rallying, and then you see this sideways price overlap. We did it here, right? And we broke out. So now at some point, the big gaps, like we have this big gap from CPI and previous FOMC, all these crazy moves up, we'll work our way to fill them in. Now, this trend still looks okay, and I wouldn't get too hot and bothered here and overly bearish or anything because we're pushing down. This is just a little bit of a correction. We have to see. Here's the big volume node that we have, right? It's a pretty big area where we did this sideways price overlap trying to balance, and we came out of that. So coming back down to 45.14 20 24, there's all these like levels that we could test and hold. Now, if we do take out this high volume node and we get below, we start to get below this 45, which is pretty far away. That's another story. We could get a really nice directional hard push. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I just think we're going to pull back. The market still is trying to hold here. This whole pocket area that's inside pocket previous high, I think should hold. So 45.33 is kind of a possible target. And then currently we're still working our way lower. So, and I'm going to use this 45.56 is where my pivot is. And it's right where the single prints start from the US session, right? And let me just blow this back up here. Okay. So we could get a push down to here. This is the inside pocket, as you know. I think that's an important area where the market, the top of this balanced area. And then we've got single prints from yesterday. So probably a slow continuation of this push down. Maybe we open up and we fill out this area, fill out the cave, which is very possible. do some structural work and trade in here. So I would be looking for a little bit weakness early in the morning, and then maybe they try to hold it. Now we take one data point at a time. This market has been that way. You can't try to predict it. If you were to try to predict this kind of rally from October 27th to here, that would have been pretty hard because it was a 450 point rally, right? With 4 gaps and a couple huge ones. So we'll have fun today. The middle of the day, like yesterday and Monday, yesterday and previous Thanksgiving weeks are usually kind of quiet, but we've had some action. As you know, that was a pretty big rally, a good 50 point rally out of this sideways area. And it was a opening right off the opening up and driving without even turning back. Let me just do this for a second. You can just see it if I blow this up. This is how the 30-minute bar chart looks in this structure that we have market profile. This is how it looks. So you could say pretty much single time framing on a 30-minute. This wasn't even really a bear flag. It was just a 1 bar, kind of reset, and we continued. So that was the rally with taking no prisoners, right? Okay. Now let's move on. We'll get back to this. Look behind the screen here, and let's see what we got. So this crude had also quite the rally, and you could see from this huge move down that we had, it was about a 5-handle break, kind of over the top break, but it got down to that 72.30 area. That's what we were looking for that day. I felt at that time coming out of this big area. It was a high volume node. This overnight session, we got that excess to the downside. But then, the market's amazing how we fill these caves in, right? And then we fill this cave in right here pretty much perfectly. What do? We gapped higher. So not an easy trade, but you have to really just follow the roadmap as the market gives you a hint where it's going, and you can't predict these things. And lately it's been more like one data point at a time, and that's what we do. So we did come into this gap. We got this brown area that I highlighted. Came a little bit into the gap, which I kind of felt like we're gonna maybe even get back down and go a little bit further, maybe down to 76.60. I don't think we're gonna fill the gap, but we might do a little work inside that 76.60 and maybe up to the overnight highs right around 77.80. So I'm not expecting the crude to go all the way back up and test the previous US session high, because it was a little excessive when inside this pocket. So, we could get just a little bit of a rest area here between 76.60 and this 77.80. Currently, that's what we're doing at the moment. My pivot, though, I won't get excited to the upside for a big move unless we get above 78.20. I feel like that's a pretty big area. It's a previous point of control from here. It's the high at that level from that particular day. And then we have this structure up here that we tried to maintain in the middle of the day, but fell apart. So just a little reining in the longs for the time being. But this crude has the potential to continue to rally. I think overall, there's a chance that we're going to be seeing $80, and it could be today if we got above 78.20, but highly unlikely. I think we'll see it today, but crude's looking pretty good to me. We traded above the 200-day moving average and never got back below it once we broke out, and that came in at 76 and a quarter. That's why I think the very most we get down to 76.60. So we'll see. All right. But it looks like the crude can be on its way for to be testing into the above the $80 mark. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, but for the most part, we're going to have a little two-way trading in the morning. All right, let's take a look here at this gold. All right, the gold is golden again. I think I think the gold looks pretty good. Kind of like the same feeling of the crude. I feel like you're gonna see a test of this swing high that we made not too long ago. It was also October 27th when we started a rally in the SPOOs, and that high came in at 2019.70. I think we're going to test that swing high. We could even test it today, but I believe the gold is on its way for a nice move up. But first, testing 2019 would be a good stretch for the gold. Now my pivot comes in at 1982, which has been a huge over and under number if you look at it. And it right around there is also the 200 daily SMA, and it's the point of control at right around 1980. And we came out of that in the overnight market and didn't turn around. We opened up right at the point of control from yesterday, and we rallied. Now we have a gap also, which I'll just fill that in here so that we can keep our eyes on this. From the morning opening, we opened and had an opening drive straight up in the first 30 minutes, right off the 8 o'clock reading there. And we've got this gap all the way down to around 83. So I don't think we're going to get back down there, to be honest. I kind of feel like the lows might stay for most of the day. I think we can get up to 2007, 2007, the next kind of high volume node, but it's also an area we've had before that we could reach and test that first. So let's see what happens. We're above 2000, psychological 2000 freaks everybody out, that those big numbers, but as they're well watched, right? Okay. All right, let's take a look at this EC. Now the EC is another one that is on a breakout to the upside, and I don't think we're going to go too much higher in the short term, but I think this breakout has already had quite the move. If you look back at the 1st of October, right? What do? I think it was 105.36 before this move here, and but we had this nice price overlap, balanced area, and then we get this big rally, and then we balanced over here, and now we're rallying. So I would think that at this point, if they fail to take out the overnight high, which is a nice flat top or high, but they fail and they get back below this pivot, which is right around the overnight low, then they could bring them in a little bit. But I wouldn't be too bearish, because I think this EC is going to continue to just churn higher. So a lot of breakouts in these markets. All right, let's go to the bonds. All right, and bonds had a really nice bottom. We put in a nice low, creating way down there, and the bonds are very similar to the EC. If you put the daily, just in a bar chart, the daily EC up there with the bonds, they don't look exactly alike, but the actual rally and the lows kind of are correlated same time, same rally, so they kind of held hands on this rally. But, the bonds didn't have like a crazy move, but we did leave some gaps there. Here's a gap here. This is where we had that uh, on the lows, the swing lows that we made 2023, which is really we we haven't been down to these levels since I think 2012. But anyway, uh, this was a big trap, if you remember, in the bonds, where we made a lower low, new lows for the year during the overnight market, opened up on the US market and rallied, came back down and did the same thing here. We made lows here from this day, but couldn't take it out here, came here, balanced, and then we had this little rocket ship out of this area. Now, bonds, I think, are going to continue to move higher. I feel in the big picture, but of course, we're taking one day at a time in this room. And today, I think we might come back down and test the pivot. My pivot comes in at 115. Basically, I think that's 115.08, 09 area. That's the point of control from yesterday. It's the point of control almost from close to Friday and Thursday, and the high pretty close to the high of the previous overnight highs. A lot of areas there. It's a pretty big area. It's kind of a high volume node right around that point. So, they could push down in there. They're doing the cave fill as we speak, which, the cave fill in the bonds are probably the most predictable. You see them all the time. You remember this one right here is just a perfect example where the bonds come in and they do a little filling out, and that's what we're doing. So I don't know if we'll make it to the pivot. That might be it, because we kind of did a little cave fill. But today I think the bonds in the morning may have another little bit of a move down, but this is a port high and it's kind of a swing high. We had 4 or 5. We traded there quite a bit during Asia and into Europe. So I don't think it'll get tested today, but I think the bonds still look good as long as they stay above the pivot, right around 115 area. They might have another try today or maybe tomorrow. Who knows, right? But the bonds still look pretty good in the big picture. Okay. All right, let's go back to our main page, the drawing board here. Let me just bring up the ES, move the bonds over to my other screens. And we've got the NAS here. Now you could see this trend was a pretty solid trend down from this morning. The DAX as well kind of softened up, but we had a much sharper move down off of Asia, you can say. Now this will be interesting to see how we hold this area, because 44.45 is the point of control, and we got pretty close to that level during the overnight lows, right? So currently we got down to 47. So 46 is going to be interesting to see if they get down here and test it on the opening, but we'll see. And again, my pivot is 45.56. All right. So let's rock and roll today and put some money in the bank, have some fun. It's a holiday week. Play a little music. All right. I'll be back in a couple minutes. I'm going to refill my coffee cup and I'll be ready for the opening.